Hello, my name is Laura, and I'm a librarian in the Information Technology Department at Mercer County Library. Today we're going to be taking a look at one of our databases called Learning Express Library. When you go to our website, www.mcl.org, if you click on Resources and then Databases, or you can go to Branches and then Virtual Branch and then click on Databases, you'll get to the page we're looking at now, which is a listing of our available online databases. Now, Learning Express Library is made up of a bunch of core skill centers. So if you're looking at our alphabetical list, you'll see some of them separated, like the Adult Core Center. And then we have the college preparation, college admissions, etc. What we're going to do is we're going to look at the full suite. So if I'm going to scroll down, you'll see Learning Express Library is in here. And basically, it tells you exactly what's included, the series of centers, which includes, like I said, adult skills, as well as student skills for elementary, high school, middle school, college students, college prep. There's also a career center, and there's also a computer learning center. So while it is geared mostly towards test prep for things like the SAT, there's a lot of information in here that appeals to all users across the life spectrum, from, like I said, elementary school homework help, all the way up to adults that want to brush up on career skills, or just want to learn how to do something like using a new computer program. So what we're going to do is we're going to look right at Learning Express, and when you click on the link, you'll go right in. If it does ask you to sign in, it's going to ask you to sign in with a library card. Learning Express Library itself has a lot of information in there that allows you to, like I said, prepare for tests, or you can do a course online where you might be studying a different series of lessons that you'll be working your way through. So one thing it will ask you is at the top where it has my name, Laura, it would say to sign in or register. Basically, you just have to give at least your first name, an email address, and a password so that you can go back in and track what you've been working on. I did a few of the things earlier in preparation to this class so that I could show you what the account area is. Basically, my center here, if I click on my name, you'll see it's where you can track what you've been working on. So if you've been doing any tests, practice tests, or if you're following through any of the lessons and doing tutorials, they'll show up there. It also shows me any ebooks I've downloaded, the computer courses that I started, any of the articles I have flagged to read. There's also some flashcards in some of the areas that when you're studying, it gives you flashcards as a study guide. So if I had any of those decks in here, that would show up. Also, I mentioned there's a career center. So in the career dashboard, you'll see if you've started anything in the career center, you can upload and save resumes, cover letters. You can do some job searches. I did a couple of the quizzes just so you could see what the results look like here. And we'll come back to the center towards the end of this video just because this will make more sense to you then. Also, there's a school finder and a scholarship finder, and when we're talking about some of the centers, you'll see why that comes into play. So I'm going to go to the home area. As I mentioned, there's career preparation and the job and career accelerator. I'll go over these more in depth in another video on career searches, but just so you know what's in here, if you click on any of the centers, you'll get a drop down that will give you a menu of what's available in that particular part of the database. So a lot of the stuff in the career preparation, there are also exams. So you may be looking for a promotion at, for example, a civil service exam that you might need to take, or you might be trying to renew your commercial driver's license, your CDL. So even though this is under career preparation, there are things in here that would be for people that are currently working in a job title already that might need to renew a license, or might be looking for a promotion, or you might be looking to change a career and you want to do a job entry exam. The Job and Career Accelerator, they do have find a career match. There's a different thing on how you can look at different occupations and see what is required for those occupations, so you could have an idea of what kind of major you might want to do in college, or if you should go to a technical school instead, um, and what kind of training is required, what kind of tests, certifications, all that kind of stuff. But there's also tips on getting hired, building a resume, building a cover letter, and all that kind of stuff is in here as well. Finding a career match, that's the one I had done earlier, and I said I had taken some of the quizzes, and we saw the results were in the My Center. Basically, the Finding a Career Match just is a good place to go to show you what each of these areas is going to look like once you start clicking on things. Um, you will see if there are any tutorials, ebooks, articles, the career tools, and the Finder tools will be in here. So basically, there's a skills matcher quiz and an interest matcher, and both give you a series of questions. One's, I think, 48 questions, and the other is 60. And they're just basic multiple choice, whether you agree or disagree with the statements, such as for the interest matcher, it might ask you, do you enjoy working with animals? For the skills matcher, it might ask you, do you have any experience laying tile or brick? So that kind of stuff is what's included in those skills and interest matcher exams. So basically, you go through the series of questions, and at the end, you're presented with a list of possible careers that match your interest or your skills. And like I said, the Job and Career Accelerator, as well as the Career Preparation area, we'll go over those more in a resources for job seekers tutorial later. For now, we're going to pay attention to the rest of what's in here. We do have the High School Equivalency Center, where you would find information if you're trying to get a GED or the high set test. So basically, there's each one of these centers goes through a series of different tutorials, articles that help you build up to taking a set of practice tests or studying for the practice tests, and then you can work and see how you're progressing as you take the practice tests and go through the tutorials. So this one starts with a basic "Are you ready?" article, and you'll see it has a skills check area, and basically you can go through and start any one of these tests and go through and work on it and see if you are ready to move on to the next section. So like we have vocabulary 1, and you can take that test and you'll be scored, and you can get, I'm going to click on test just so you can see this. Basically, there's 3 ways you can do this. You can do the simulation, which is as if you were taking the test. There's no help involved at all. You just answer the questions. Practice, you can do it as if it was a practice test, where you'll get an explanation of the answers when you're finished. Or you can do the learning path as your test mode. And as you answer a question, you'll get instant feedback as to what the answer should have been, so you'll have an idea of what skills you need to build on. So if you take any of these tests that are in these centers, that will show up in your My Center, and you can always refer back to your results so you can see which areas you need to practice in the tutorials. I'm going to close without saving because I don't want to save that skills test. But other things that are in there, in the Building Your Basic Skills area, you're going to see there are the tutorials. So if you wanted to look at the reading level skills, if I go to the level 1 skills, that's where those tests are. If I go back, you'll see there's tutorials and ebooks as well. Now, a lot of these also have resources for Spanish speakers, so you can always go to the Spanish language materials if you need to. So the tutorials, if you go to any one of these guides or centers, you'll see in the tutorials, basically you'll just get either a written article, and you'll be able to work through all of the units and get to the end. You'll see the course summary, and so you will be able to then take a sample test. The other thing is some of them have video tutorials that you'll go through and work your way through those just by watching a series of videos. It all depends on how the center is set up. I'm going to go ahead and close without saving because we don't want to go through the video tutorials. So some of the other stuff under the high school equivalency, especially the building your basic skills. As I mentioned, there's some ebooks as well. And you'll see it'll give you a little abstract about the book. And then if you want to download the book, you can. Just to show you what an ebook looks like from here, it is a PDF file. I got this one from the high school history area and civics class. So this is the U.S. Constitution in 15 minutes a day. And you can see at the top here, I'm looking at page 1 of 187. So when they say ebooks, it usually is a pretty decent amount of information in here. So if I scroll down a bit, you'll see the full table of contents, and it's broken down in lessons for you. So each one of these lessons should take you about 15 minutes to pretty much read through it and comprehend it. So you're seeing, again, this is the Constitution in 15 minutes a day. So it talks about the history behind the Constitution, then it goes into all of the articles, then it touches on the Bill of Rights and all of the amendments. And then there's usually an appendix, which typically include further reading. Sometimes this one has a timeline. Almost all of them have a glossary. So if you need to look at a particular term that you're not quite sure what it means, you can go ahead and look it up in the glossary. Now, because this is a PDF and it opened up in my browser, I do have a couple of options I can do with this PDF, which are print, or I can save it. So if I wanted to save this so I can look at it later, I can go ahead and do that. Or if I wanted to print out certain pages from it, I can go ahead and do that as well. I'm just going to go ahead and close that ebook. So that's basically what happens when you click the download an ebook. All right, so that's how most of the centers work. So we're just going to kind of look at what's in each center. We already looked mostly at the high school equivalency. So like I said, each one of these subjects is going to pretty much have those same types of resources available that we just looked at. And it would be something you can build your skills upon and then get to the point where you're taking practice tests so that hopefully you would be able to get to a point where you would be able to pass the GED. Same thing applies for the college admission test prep area. If you've got a student or you are a student and you need to take either the PSAT or the SAT, there's also the ACT, we've got the TOEFL, and the AP exams. There's also a tutorial on college admissions essay writing. So these are pretty straightforward, most of them, in terms of the practice tests. I'll just take a look at two areas, and that's the AP exam. So you'll see it does have most of the subjects that are available, and you can go through. So if I look at the U.S. government one, you'll see that they also are mostly practice exams, but then you'll see some things here, like this is an article. So it gives you some information about the particular test that is given for this particular subject area. And if there's any notices, you'll see them pop up here. So this is not a current one, but it does look like they're updating it. So do check back if you're looking for the U.S. government and politics preparation. Okay, the other area I wanted to show you under the college prep is the college admissions essay writing. And there is a tutorial in here, two ebooks in here on how to write a college admissions application essay. And there's also some guide or a guide on proofreading it. So that's the kind of stuff that is in the college prep center. Now the school center is broken down into three categories: elementary school, middle school, and high school. And of course, these are just going to be subject areas that are appropriate for that particular school. So elementary, you're going to see math and ILA basically included in here. And so you're going to see some of the basic things you would learn in an elementary school, such as numbers, intro to algebra, literature, reading, writing practice. So in the writing and language practice, for example, you're going to see again assessment tests, and it's going to give you a grade level. Okay. An informational reading practice again. And sometimes these things are called tests, but they're not really tests. They're just basically tutorials that then try to refresh your skills and then give you quizzes about how you're progressing in your skills, basically for your um, information so that you get some sort of feedback as to how you're doing in taking these tutorials. Middle school and high school, pretty much the same thing. You're going to see more advanced skills as the um, as you're going up in the school years. The thing with the middle school is you do also have the high school entrance exams presented here as well. So things like the HSPT is in here, and the SSAT. So if you do happen to need to take one of those tests in order to get an entrance into a high school, you can do the test prep in here. Works the same way as what we saw with the GED and the SAT. And again, you'll see some things are broken down in terms of tutorials and ebooks, as well as the practice areas. And just so you see high school, again, you're adding things like the technology, logic, social studies, science, in addition to the math and English skills. This is also a good place if you're just kind of curious on your own. You might be an adult and you just think, hey, it's been a long time since I've remembered any algebra. Why not go into the high school area and brush up? Okay. Um, the other stuff we have in here, the college student area, pretty much very similar to the school center, but obviously on a college level. You'll also find things in here like the GRE for graduate exams. There's also the college placement exams. So if you're coming out of high school and you want to see where you're going to place in terms of maybe math or any kind of language skills, you could take the placement exam practice in here, and also CLEP is in here. Okay. The last three centers, we're not going to really look at this one on the bottom. Just so you know, all of the Spanish resources are collected in one area. So if you do know somebody who's needing to take the citizenship exam or the GED or is trying to apply for a green card and they're a Spanish speaker, you can point them to these resources. Some of those things I mentioned, citizenship tests and green card, there is an area in the Adult Core Skills Center for becoming a U.S. citizen. You can also brush up on your math skills, become a better reader, and there's also improving your writing, speaking, and grammar area. So some of these skills are basically things that are pulled over from the school area. So if you just want to brush up on measurements, you've got your math practice area. So here you can see some of these tests. If I want to do measurement practice 1, I can just go ahead and click Start Test, and it will work you through. I'm just going to start one of these tests in a practice mode. So you'll get a bunch of questions that you can work through. And if you want to save for later and finish it up, you don't have to do the whole thing all at one time. Or you can go ahead and score the test. And again, it'll give you feedback. So if I just randomly pick answers here, and then click go ahead and score my test, we should see I want to view my answers. It will give me what I answered correctly, what I answered incorrectly. And then it'll tell me which ones I answered incorrectly. So, for example, if I want to review question 3, it will take me back to question 3, and it will tell me what I answered and what the correct answer should be. I can always go back to that score report, and it will tell me the topics and how I did in all of those, and it will give me a set of recommendations. So here's the ebook 501 Measurements and Conversion Questions, or the tutorial on basic math. So basically, once you've gone through a test and you've gotten your results, it will send you to the next uh, step. So if you need to review and take the practice test, that'll give you the information here. If not, it will tell you to move on to the next test. Okay. The other things in the adult core area I mentioned was the becoming a U.S. citizen. So there are areas in here on preparing for the citizenship exam and how to apply for a green card. So those are in there as well. And the last center we'll look at is the Computer Skills Center. And it's broken down into a few basic areas: computer basics, internet. The popular software tools is essentially Microsoft Office, as well as um, Office 365. So they are broken down into both the plain programs themselves, as well as if you're trying to get started using Office 365 at home. And you'll see older versions are in here as well. So it's basically, if you've got 2007 to the 2016 edition, you're covered. There's also some basic Photoshop and Adobe Illustrator in here as well, and Windows 7 through 10 is included. Oops, skipped out of that one. I should have mentioned also, starting with your computer, you do some computer basics, and there's also internet basics that you've got in here as well. So I'm just going to click on using your email, and you'll see if I click Start Tutorial, it tells you it's an hour and 45 minutes is the course time. So this is basically a video course. I'm showing this to show you there was a difference between this and one of the other tutorials we had seen earlier, where basically it was all text, and you were just going through a series of different practice tests and tutorials and quizzing yourself at the end of each chapter. This is going to be actually a video, and it's going to go through. You'll see there's a transcript, and this is the first segment. It's 36 minutes, but you'll work your way through a series of videos and get information as well, and to test your skills. Okay, so that is Learning Express Library. Oh, I said we would go back to my center just so we could look at this. So here's my computer course that I just started, Becoming an Email Expert. And earlier I had started the PC, hardware, software, and network basics. And probably should go back just to one center, and that's the adult skills. And I want to go into, oh no, I'm sorry. I want to go in the GED area because I wanted to show you what flashcards look like. So I went to the GED area just to show you what the flashcards look like, and I'm going to click on the science flashcards, and I'm just going to open up this first deck. So this is a way to pretty much quiz yourself through getting a tutorial, and basically it'll give you the information and ask you to solve for a problem, and you can score it whether this was easy for you or difficult, and you can flip this card over and it will tell you the answer to the question. And then you can work your way through. In this particular set there's 100 cards. So those would also, if you're working your way through them, show up in My Center, and I'm just going to go ahead and save so I can see that. So that's that flashcard set I was just working on. So again, the My Center is where you can keep track of what tests you've started, any ebooks you've downloaded, any computer courses you're going through, and then your flashcard. And the career dashboard, again, has any resumes or cover letters I've uploaded, as well as the results from my skills matching test. And now the School Finder and the Scholarship Finder, I can go and click School Finder. This is areas where you can go through and you can look through schools if you're looking for either a tech school or a college to go to, and it also has the Scholarship Finder dashboard as well. And those you can also get to in the college admission area, I believe. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, it's under the Career and Job and Career Accelerator. It's the School and Scholarship Finder. Sorry about that. So those are in here as well. And basically, they're just online databases of different schools and scholarships that are available. So okay, now I have completed that, and that is your guide to the Learning Express library, which, like I said, has a lot of information in it, and it's a good place to turn for people in various points in the life cycle. So you can see we have everything from elementary school tutorials all the way up to brushing up on your computer skills for adults. Thank you. Bye.